I took piano lessons for years, and as I listened to the intro set music, I'm thinking, if I really practice, I'm sorry, piano teacher Leon Sullivan, that I didn't take it seriously. I could have been playing that intro song, but I can't because I was not a good student of piano. Welcome to Sipping My Tea. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. In full disclosure, because the last Sunday of the month is a holiday, we're pre-recording. So this is actually Wednesday morning, just to be perfectly honest with everybody. So what am I sipping? I'm sipping hot lemon water. I try to start my day with hot lemon water. I want to thank my team member, Luana, who for my birthday in September gave me a Sippin My Tea mug. Isn't that fabulous? And on the other side, let's see if I can turn this around. It says my name, Holly J. Mitchell. So welcome to Sippin My Tea pre-Thanksgiving edition. Hope that you all are doing well. Please reshare so other people will tune in and see what you're seeing. I really thank you all for joining us, and I'm hoping by the time you see this that everyone had a healthy, safe, thankful Thanksgiving, and that you really pause to give some deep consideration to what you're thankful for. I will certainly be doing that with my friends and family tomorrow as well. Wanted to do a couple things this Sipping My Tea. First of all, really wanted to talk to you about what Team Mitchell has been up to in the last, say, month. Really, November 1st, when we understood that SNAP benefits would be delayed. I want to thank my team. We switched into high gear. The county and the state invested tens of millions of dollars into the food bank infrastructure, and we got busy. Team Mitchell invested $300,000 of our SPA dollars, our SPA grants, into free food giveaways across the 2nd District. There were so many. We did partnerships with the Regional Food Bank at Expo Park, at Magic Johnson Park, where we did massive food giveaways, thousands of families, thousands of cars. We'll be doing some of those into the new year at the farm. We'll give you dates when we know about those. But we also did our smaller food giveaways with what you see here, these fresh produce boxes that were walk-ups. We hit 18 senior centers in 17 communities, again, impacting thousands of households. So I'm really proud to have supported our community across the 2nd District in both walk-ups as well as the big drive-ups. There you see Team Mitchell working with Park and Rec and the Senior Center and some clinics. We were at the Venice Free Clinic in Inglewood doing a walk-up giveaway a couple weeks ago. So again, in response to the federal government's inaction in regard to SNAP, we know how many 2nd District residents rely on SNAP. We serve the highest percentage of SNAP beneficiaries called the 2nd District home. So I understood the impact it would have on our own family, friends, and neighbors with that delay. I'm glad, I guess, the federal government got it together. I'm a little concerned about what it will really mean in the long run in January based on the bill they passed, but we will cross that bridge when we get there. Last month, I hope you watched Sippin My Tea, we talked in detail about SNAP and Medi-Cal, and we'll continue to keep people apprised of that. So again, I ask you to reshare, and thank you for joining us. So I'm going to transition to the main topic. I had a really once-in-a-lifetime unique experience since I saw you last. Earlier this month, I had the honor of joining leaders from across the nation, the mayor of Chicago, the district attorney in Philadelphia, leaders from New York and Alaska, all over the country, academics in Geneva, Switzerland, to call attention to the human rights violations in our very own country with the United Nations Human Rights Council, and met with various officials and members of nation states who are members of the United Nations Council. The United Nations Human Rights Council got to provide testimony about what we've been experiencing right here in LA County at the hands of our own federal government, which are indeed human rights violations. The way in which ICE has really invaded our communities, the way in which they are engaging in their work violates a variety of human rights agreements and treaties, some of which the U.S. has even signed on to. And so I was very proud to represent you all as the representative from the county. But I also wanted to introduce you to someone else who was on that trip, the executive director of LA County's Human Relations Commission, Robin Toma, who attended the convenings, who can give us a little bit of background about why we were there, who we were talking to. So thank you for joining me, Robin. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving tomorrow, and welcome to Sipping My Tea. Uh-oh, you're muted, Robin. Unmute yourself.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Supervisor. And I just wanted to say I brought my tea as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much. What are you drinking this morning?
It's Trader Joe's organic ginger turmeric tea.
Beautiful.
Something a little fragrant and lively for this flu season.
Exactly. Good move. Okay, so Robin, please explain the significance of the meeting that was taking place in Geneva and why it was necessary for us to be a part of the process to share our perspective.
Yes. Well, so every 4 to 5 years, every single nation in the world comes to Geneva to talk about how it's doing regarding human rights, because every single nation is part of the international community, and most of the nations of the world have signed on to what is known as the core human rights treaties. We're talking about the International Covenant to Eliminate Racial Discrimination, the Convention Against Torture, the International Covenant for Civil and Political Rights, the International Covenant for Economic, Cultural, and Social Rights, for the rights of persons with disabilities, and all of these, and there's more. But these core set of treaties are the ways that the United Nations, as our global government, has implemented the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which is that foundational document which was adopted at the end of World War II. So this is a huge part of the reason for the existence of the United Nations, and it's the way they have been ensuring that nations are actually paying attention to its human rights commitments.
And so, frankly, historically, Robin, the United States has been at the forefront of trying to hold other nations accountable to a higher level of human rights intelligence, if you will, right?
Absolutely. And so here we find ourselves in this process where the United States has gone before the Human Rights Council of the United Nations in years past. This year, the United States government, this administration, informed the council that it's not going to appear. And this, what you're seeing here, is actually one of the headlines of a news story that talks about how it's skipping its human rights review. This is unprecedented for the United Nations Human Rights Council. It is, and it's so horrible coming from one of the nations, as you point out, Supervisor, that talks about human rights to other nations. So what it created is this vacuum, this crisis, in fact, in the United Nations, and for us as a nation to not be represented in such an important, symbolic, and practical moment of saying, how are we doing? And we are willing to hear from other nations about their perspectives and tell them how we're doing on the recommendations, the past ones that we committed to fulfilling. So it was a huge moment, and I think your presence there and LA County's presence there was huge to really tell the international community that just because our federal government decides not to show up doesn't mean that we don't consider human rights to be a core part of what we do in our communities.
Exactly. And so we had the privilege of meeting with a number of officials. And our role there was really to talk about the role local government plays in upholding human rights. And there was a document, I think it's like across the room in my briefcase. I'm not prepared here. Shame on me. There's a document that's been produced. Tell us who produced the little blue booklet that we met with Robin. Remind me.
Yes, it's the United Nations Office of Human Rights, which is the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights.
The High
And it's a
Commissioner,
book,
right.
right.
So
And
we
that
met
booklet's
with,
about a, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so we met with the High Commissioner for Human
Right.
Rights, his staff, and they have this booklet that documents ways in which local government can manifest through our own policymaking protections for human rights. And LA County, I got to tell you, I was so proud when I went through the booklet. I literally checked every box. Motions that we have brought forward collectively, myself, as well as my entire colleague, all of my colleagues on the board. Just since I've been on the board 5 years, I could check the box that LA County is operating in the black when it comes to human rights protections for every LA County resident. So that's why it was important for local government to be there to share with nation states from all over the world that even though the federal government is a no-show for this once every 5-year periodic review, it's really, they come, I witnessed in the actual UN chambers, nations standing up and giving kind of their assessment on where they are standing against these various human rights documents. And so for the US to take a pass, to not show up, is deeply symbolic of their lack of respect for our human rights. So local governments were able to show up. I think local governments were invited to participate who have been on the world stage based on the violations imposed upon us by our federal government. That's why you had the mayor of Chicago and Philadelphia represented in LA County. Councilwoman Eunice Hernandez participated virtually to talk about her perspective and her district in the city, and I represented on behalf of the largest, most populous county in the world, and pause for a moment to help those nations understand LA County's role and position in the world kind of perspective that, if we were a nation, we would be this number. Our gross domestic product ranks quite high compared to other entire nations. And certainly our population puts us in the top 20 or so. So it was important to be there, to ask other nations to help us and to hold our federal government accountable. What's the next step? Explain a little bit about what the mayor of Chicago asked for and what we intend to do here at the county, recognizing that December 10th is World Human Rights Day.
Well, I want to say, first of all, that I was so proud that you, in particular, Supervisor Mitchell, could represent LA County, because I think that many of the things that you have led in the county and supported have been such critical examples of really specifically how we take seriously human rights. For example, LA County is the first jurisdiction and the leading jurisdiction, I'd say, in the United States to really take the CEDAW Treaty, which is the International Bill of Rights, essentially, for women, and something that hasn't been ratified by our country. And we're saying it doesn't matter. We are aligned with it. We are committed to this. And so that's something that has been adopted into county ordinance and is being moved forward to this day.
I was proud to author that motion. Yep.
And I think that, that it was perfect for you to be that person to really represent LA County government. So the next steps is that we are going to be embarking on our work to, first of all, develop and implement a human rights action plan for the upcoming FIFA World Cup this next summer, which is such an important opportunity and need for us to ensure that LA County residents' human rights are respected by all the folks that are coming, and in the context and excitement of such a big sporting events as the World Cup, and as a lead up to the LA Olympics in 2028, which also has a human rights action plan requirement. But the implementation of it is something that is so important, and it's going to benefit all of us to be able to do that. We're also going to be gathering as IORA, which, as you met our president, Dr. Elisa Warren, whose picture was there. We're going to be holding a webinar on December 10th, which is the International Human Rights Day. which we're going to be sharing exactly that document that you spoke of, the guiding framework for human rights cities, because we want cities to recognize that this is something that isn't about what happens outside our borders across oceans. It's what happens in our own communities. And applying it here is so important. And to claim that is a primary role of your city government or your local government is critical to going to a place where we are, as a human community, a global community, caring and following and paying attention to human rights of every single person, every single place in this world.
And I've appreciated partnering with you as you lead LA versus hate, and all of the work that you do there. Before we sign off, Robin, touch on your most recent LA County report on human rights. Talk a little bit about that, and we'll show the image on the screen and where people can get a copy of it.
Yes, so this is our way of saying, understand how our LA County government is actually implementing human rights, not just our Human Relations Commission and our anti-hate work, but RD, which is embedding equity into the way that we look at all of our programs. If you look at even the health department, which is ensuring that every single person can get health care. It doesn't matter whether, what your income is and whether you have the ability to buy into a plan, you deserve health care. The food provisions that you talked about and housing, those are things that are fundamental human needs that LA County works every day to provide. And so people need to understand that that's what government is all about, really, and should be all about.
That's right.
And I think we do such a great job. And we invite people to look at how every single department does that through that booklet.
Robin, I wish you and your family a healthy, warm, loving Thanksgiving holiday. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'll see you back out there as we fight for human rights December 10th. I may have a little something before the board meeting the day before that, so we'll continue to work with you. And I thank you for joining me on Sippin My Tea. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Supervisor. Always a pleasure.
Thank you so much. All right. Yeah, it was an amazing experience. As a local policymaker, when you think of the UN, that's what the federal government does. And so it was really important for me to really embrace and understand that I do have a role to play. And in fact, I'm doing it. I think about it in terms of providing service to Second District residents every day, but it does have a global impact that we are protected and fighting for human rights every day right here at LA County. So I was proud to represent you all there. Let me transition into a couple of additional initiatives that I want to make sure that you're aware of. One is the emergency rent relief, and the other is an initiative by the Department of Public Social Services to help you keep your benefits. So first, emergency rent relief. I was proud to join my colleagues in supporting the creation of an emergency rent relief fund to help residents impacted by both of the disasters of 2025, the wildfire, as well as the immigration raids. You see there, our county Department of Consumer and Business Affairs is administering the rent relief program, and it's countywide. They are about to launch it. There's the website. Visit lacountyrentrelief.com to learn more and to fill out the form so you can be notified once the application opens. This is so important in terms of keeping people housed. And from my perspective, given the demographics of my district, making sure that mom and pop landlords also are supported through this tragedy. If you're a mom and pop landlord, and you have tenants whose livelihood's been impacted by the wildfire, they can't go to work because their workplace burned down, or they can't go to work because they're afraid of the ICE raids. This is a way to provide direct relief. So landlords get paid and tenants have their rent paid. This is a good thing we did during COVID, and it supports tenants and landlords who rely on each other to keep us all housed. So please, if you are impacted by either of those, the wildfires or the immigration raids, sign up now so you will know the minute the application goes live. Transitioning now to Department of Public Social Services and keeping your benefits. So I've touched on this last month with, again, representatives from LA County family. But starting January 1st of next year, there are major eligibility changes to Medi-Cal and CalFresh due to Trump's HR 1, the big ugly bill. It's going to impact residents, especially, those who are on those programs, and I want our immigrant family, friends, and neighbors to pay attention as well. So LA County Department of Public Social Services is hosting free virtual webinars to help you stay informed and prepared. So please visit dpss.lacounty.gov again to sign up and learn more. The webinars, I understand, are very informative. If you aren't a Medi-Cal or CalFresh beneficiary, but you have a family member who is, you can sign up for the webinar too. Each one, teach one. It's important policy changes. I don't want anybody to lose their benefit just because they didn't know about the policy change. They didn't sign the right form. They didn't submit the right form. They didn't reply to the DPSS text telling them to sign in, come in, sign this, do something. So I appreciate DPSS being really proactive early. These changes don't go in effect until January 1, but we got hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people across LA County who are on these programs. There's the number at the bottom of the screen where you can call Monday through Friday from 7:30 to 5:30, the customer service center. But look at all of the dates these webinars are taking place. Next week, there's one every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So please sign in, watch one of these webinars so you can get this important information. All right. And we'll be talking about this up till January 1st. So before I go, I also want to invite you all to consider joining us for our last RJLE, our monthly Racial Justice Learning Exchange for the year. It's going to be Saturday, December 14th. The last two, October and November, were amazing. Sorry you missed them. If you did, go to my website and you can see images and videos of the extraordinary experience we had. But here you have a chance. December 14th, it's going to be at Charles Drew University of Medicine. Very proud of them. And it's our Maternal Health Forum and Family Support Resource Fair. We're going to be talking about the work the county is doing to help improve birth outcomes for women of color. You've heard me talk about the maternal morbidity and mortality rate for Black women. And so we're going to be supporting and providing information to make sure that Black women and women of color who have a disproportionately poor outcome have information, all the resources they need to have a positive birthing experience. And so again, that's December 14th. Again, thank you so much for joining me and sipping my tea. Thank you, Luana, for my amazing cup. I appreciated it. Hope you all had an amazing Thanksgiving holiday, and we'll see you next month. Be well.